Finally, an answer to the age-old question, which comes first, the chicken or the egg roll? Easy! Just eat whichever one's closest. The Sensation Salad and Filet Sandwich Meal are back at Zaxby's. Both feature our famous hand-breaded chicken, crispy wontons, Asian slaw, and citrus vinaigrette. And each comes with its very own egg roll for a limited time only at Zaxby's. Order ahead, drive-thru, or get it delivered.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Stay out of the way.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good. You heard it at the beginning of the show. The sensation, it's back. Take advantage. Your mouth will agree. We'll be thankful. Warchant.com, meanwhile, is your ultimate Seminole sports source. Use that promo code Warchant30 for 30 free days of access to the website. I got to touch base with our poultry papa, see if we're going to still maybe give some tickets away. I know capacity is obviously limited, but our poultry papa has the best seats in the house at Doak Campbell Stadium. Stay tuned for perhaps an update on that later in the week. Anyhow, I don't know if you folks saw what happened on Sunday evening with the Dallas Mavericks and Los Angeles Clippers playing basketball. I'm not going to talk a lot about the NBA, but a 21-year-old, stunningly talented and painfully handsome young man hobbled, compromised, put his team on his back, and led them to an improbable win. Your boy Corey Clark right now going to try to duplicate that. He, too, was compromised. We won't go too much into the details on it because of HIPAA, but Corey is here, and he's going to do his best. Corey, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate that, buddy. That was a great intro. I would say I'm the Luka Doncic of the FSU beat for sure, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. Just
maybe a little older. I guess I'm more the Dirk Nowitzki now, but man, I'm telling you, and I like Trae Young. And I know this isn't a NBA podcast. I like Trae Young. My man is 6 feet tall, maybe, and he was fourth in the NBA in scoring and second in assists, and he's really fun to watch. But the Hawks had Luka, and they traded for Trae Young. Trae Young's probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame, and I still think the Hawks made a grave mistake by having Luka and trading him away. That's going to be like I would equate it maybe even to the Rockets drafting Hakeem Olajuwon ahead of Michael Jordan. Everybody gets the Trailblazers so much grief because they drafted Sam Bowie, who played like 9 games in the NBA, instead of Michael Jordan. Well, the Rockets made a mistake too. As good as Olajuwon was, and he was incredible, he wasn't as good as Michael Jordan. So if Houston drafts Michael Jordan to go along with Ralph Sampson, maybe they have 9 titles. But that's how it's going to be with the Hawks, man. They drafted Trae Young, who he's going to be a perennial All-Star and probably end up in the Hall of Fame, and yet they will have still made a mistake because they didn't draft this dude who was incredible. Anyway, that's just being an Atlanta sports fan, though.
Well,
and
at least you're not a Kings fan and you drafted Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, that's the word. Not even Marvin Bagley the second. They went ahead and drafted Marvin Bagley III, and I did. I was down a little bit for the count on Monday morning with some stomach issues, a really bad stomach ache. I'm not sure what that was about. I stayed through Norvell. Number one, by the way, that didn't help either. That we were told 11 a.m.
Correct.
So I set my alarm bright and early, about 10:28, 10:30, somewhere around there. And then as I'm loading up, getting ready for the interviews, and getting the thread online at Warchant, they say no, it's going to be 11:45. And so I'm like, you know what? It's 10:32. I'm going to go back to sleep for a little bit. Well, that didn't work out because my stomach hurt so bad. But I tried. Finally, at about 11:15, I'm like, well, this isn't working. I'm going to go back downstairs. I'm going to get ready for the interview. And when did it start? As I'm like 12:10.
Probably. That sounds about right.
So about an hour and 10 minutes after it was supposed to start, it finally started. And by that time, I wasn't feeling it. My stomach hurt really badly. So I went through Norvell. I went through who'd we get?
Who was the first?
We got
person?
Cyrus Fagan.
Yeah, you stood for you hung tie in the pocket for that. Then DeKalen Brooks. And then when Derek, who's the FSU SID, was like, "Look, guys, we're planning on getting Leonard Warner." I don't even think he said Leonard Warner III, so we didn't know which one we were getting. But he said we're planning on getting Leonard Warner, but he was supposed to be lifting.
and we're not sure when he's going to be here, I'm like, I'm not waiting here 25 minutes or an hour. Who knows? I got to go lay down because when I'm typing as feverishly as I type, I can't lay down and type.
You can't. You can't. I transcribe Warner, and I'm sure the folks on warchant.com can tell the drop-off in the volume of updates. Dude, it's intense. I can't believe what you do. Truly, like you're extremely talented at what you do. I felt it. I think a lot of it was pressure too, though. I'm like, man, Corey can't live up to it. And
hey, I just before we started this, I read your sign off though, and it was great.
Okay.
You fit right in. It was perfect.
I tried.
I knew Ira didn't do it. No way Ira writes something like that. He's like, all right, see y'all tomorrow. Peace. Or not even peace. He's like, see you tomorrow. That's it. Just no love for the subscribers. But yeah. So when I heard that we didn't know when Warner was going to get there, and my stomach felt like it was about to it felt like an alien was in there about to pop out. I had to go lay down. So I couldn't. I apologize for making you do that. Did you ask a question?
No.
While you did it?
No, heck no. It was Ira and I kind of had we were on the group text, and it was, well, I'll do it since he's saying he'll do it since you're out, and we can just both ask questions. And I'm like, well, are you sure? And then he was like, well, he's like, you want to do that? Just do what Corey does, and I'll ask the questions. I'm like, perfect. Yeah, because Ira ultimately has to write, so he should be the one asking the questions so he can get the stuff he wants. So I was up to the task, or I tried at least. I gave it the old college try. I gave it the Florida State try. I think it worked out well. But, hey, man, honestly, you missed the best interview of the entire day, I think. I think Cyrus Fagan had some good stuff to say. So did Mike Norvell. We'll dive into that stuff. But it was really Leonard Warner who stole the show, if you will. Because, again, we're not out there watching practice, unfortunately. So we're kind of limited in what we can glean because we're talking to, we're on the computer talking to these guys. But he was asked about the freshman linebackers, how they've come along. And he was like, oh, yeah, they're doing great. He's like, I'll be honest with you. And then he says something about the thought of it brings tears to my eyes nearly. He's like, I just think about the way the linebacker room is now and just how different it is and kind of how better it is. And no offense to any of the guys that were here in the past, but he just talks about like, we're so cohesive right now. And that was like, dang. I mean, Leonard Warner strikes me as a pretty stoic guy. And the fact that he kind of went that avenue on that question, which he didn't have to. You could just been talking about Steven Dix and, Jayon McCluster and all those guys. But he just kind of talks about how different it is and how powerful different it is that it makes him almost brings a tear to his eyes. And then Ira asked him about if he ever thought about transferring, which was a bit of a leading question because Ira already knew, but Ira's crafty like that. And he did say he did think about transferring, but he sat down with Norvell, and Norvell, what he told all of us is what he told all the players. Give me just the opportunity to earn your trust. I think Leonard said Norvell asked for like 2 or 3 months to kind of prove himself, but he knew within 2 or 3 weeks that this guy knew what he was doing, so he was going to stick it out. So that was a really illuminating, to steal a word from your lexicon, I thought it was a really great interview. And I know people are rolling their eyes, and, man, we bought into everything with Willie. Like, we heard about how much everybody loved each other and how happy everybody was. And I'm not trying to say this is different, but it kind of is. I don't know, just you should believe right now. I'm not saying believe 10 wins or anything like that, but just believe that you're going to be proud of this team more often than not this year.
Hey, I'm with you on it, man. I'm a believer in this coaching staff, and not just because of Mike Norvell, but because he's smart enough to hire people like Chris Marv.
There you
go. And I think that matters, man. It's a big deal that I just think, and I'm not trying to offend anybody that was here before Chris Marv, but the coaching in that room has taken a giant step up. I also think the talent is a little better. I think, like we've talked about before, I think there was addition by subtraction. But reading over, I didn't watch the interview, Aslan. I read over your transcription. Number one, I was like, yeah, Leonard Warner brought it. It's too bad that I wasn't there to document it.
I know.
By the way, how long was the wait?
It wasn't 20 minutes, but it was more than 10.
Okay, all right. Well, then I made the right decision.
You did.
If it was 4, I would have felt bad. But 12 or 13, that's on you. I think by that time I was already asleep. But yeah, man, I just think that this coaching staff is it just knows what it's doing. It just does. I do trust this guy. I definitely trust Marv. I trust Fuller even. Like, I just think that these guys, The way these players talk about them, it's different. And look, I think some of the stuff we would say about Willie was more projection, like this is what it could be. And also, okay, well, he did win at South Florida, and he won some games at Oregon, although he had like a top 5 quarterback at Oregon. But still, when that kid wasn't there, they were terrible. But there were no adjustments made when Justin Herbert wasn't available. But when he was available, they were pretty darn good. And you just hope. It was more like hope. Like, okay, we think he's a good. We didn't think. We knew Willie was a good recruiter. He got a top 10 class when he'd been on campus for 3 weeks. He salvaged a class. Not only salvaged it, but it was pretty darn good. But then the games and the adjustments and the game planning were just left a lot to be desired, let's be honest.
Right.
And I think these players see the difference. And this isn't – I'm just telling you guys, we talked to players about the difference between Willie and Jimbo too. It was never about – when they would talk about the differences, it was usually about like you said, it was more fun. They felt good about themselves. It wasn't as stressful. Whatever the reasons were, there was a little more accountability. Okay, that's great. But the actual coaching and the detail and what they were focusing on, you never heard that. This is different. This praise is different. It's not about necessarily Norvell as a person. Like he's a good person, you want to go have a beer with him. It's about what he is as a coach, like how he teaches and how his coaches teach. And I think you hear that every time you ask one of these veterans about the differences between what they're used to and what they're getting now, and I think that comes across. And Leonard Warner has no reason to lie to us, to blow Norvell up like he's something that he isn't. Leonard Warner, in his opinion, is speaking the truth, that this guy and this coaching staff is different, and they know what they're doing. So I choose to believe him.
He had a comment he made about, I don't know if it was ownership he talked about, but just the players seem to have more of a voice, and guys are more, like teammates are more receptive to their fellow teammates, sort of criticizing or pointing things out. And that's, I think, maybe some of what I was kind of talking about when we saw that first practice video get released, when I mentioned, the soundtrack of the practice, like the strain, the hooting and the hollering. It was like the music they played at practice the last few years, I think, kind of hid the fact that it was just so flat. Guys were just uninspired. There wasn't a lot of like helping and motivating your fellow teammates out. A lot of it was going through the motion sort of stuff, trying to figure out what the staff was going to game plan and communicate for the upcoming week. So, Leonard Warner was talking about there's a different sort of camaraderie, a different gelling. There's different, just cohesion going on. And those are the kind that's real substantive stuff that I think does pay off in a game. To your point about, they're not talking about like, Mike Norvell, awesome dude, can't wait to, graduate and have some beers with him afterwards. It's this guy's pushing us in the right directions. He's pushing the right buttons. The guys that he's hired, to your point, are know what they're doing, and we feel confident in what we're being told to do. And, man, that's I don't know, was Virginia Tech maybe the first half last time these guys probably felt confident in what they were told to do? I mean, that's probably a little bit hyperbolic, but
no, I don't think that's hyperbolic at all. I think once they saw how bad it was in that Virginia Tech game, I think you lose belief in your coaching staff. The fact that nothing was done, nothing was adjusted. They're 20-year-old kids, man. They know their talent, and like, we can't do anything. We don't have any answers for this. And then up at Syracuse, maybe Syracuse is the one that just really hammered it home. Like, our coaches just don't have an answer. They just don't. And then you go to 2019. Well, look, I do think the offensive staff got better. I think number one, Willie got out of the way for the most part and let Briles and Clements run it, and the offense was better. But then the defense was a train wreck, and nobody on that side of the. And again, like we talked about yesterday, at least I did. That to me is a much bigger deal than anything you're doing with the offense. Is if that defense can believe itself and be dominant, or at least somewhat dominant, make plays, and. No, of course. How could Marvin Wilson believe in the coaching staff? He can believe in Odell Haggins, but how many times did Marvin Wilson have to beat a double team, fight through a double team, get one of those treasured quarterback pressures, only to see the kid throw a 38-yard pass because nobody was near the receiver? Right. At some point, you're like, what are we doing? Even a guy that believes, with all his heart and soul at one point that these guys know what they're doing, eventually you're going to lose trust. Well, now I think they built this trust back with this coaching staff. I think the two scrimmages, especially the last one, have built a lot of that trust. And then you talked about the accountability, and that's something that's come up multiple times when we've talked to these defensive players, is how they do hold each other. I think Fagan even said it, like how they hold each other accountable.
Didn't we hear that word though when Willie got here? Because
no, but that was Willie holding players accountable. Like, you can't be late to summer workouts. I remember Cam specifically at ACC Media Days in 2018 talking about how I think we asked him, maybe you asked him,
or it was the buddy system thing, right? Like if one of the guys is late, everybody has to pay the price or whatever.
Well, I think he was just asked like what happened. Like Willie would get mad if you didn't show up for your voluntary workout. And then the question was like, well, what it was like before that? Like, what was it like last year if you didn't show up? And he just kind of laughed as if nobody cared, essentially, was his answer. But that was the accountability of the coaching staff. I think it's different when it's the players holding each other accountable. And that's what I think seems to be the difference this year. It's not, hey, you're just concentrating solely on Norvell holding you accountable, or Fuller or Dillingham. It's the whole team. And that is a big deal, man. I do think that that's something that has been lacking, and for a good reason. I mean, they've had coaches that either weren't very good or weren't dialed in. But if they truly believe in what they're doing this season, if they truly believe in all this hard work they're putting in, that it's going to make a difference, then yeah, you want them to be accountable. You want them to hold their teammates accountable. And it seems like, I don't think Cyrus Fagan's just telling us that for our own enjoyment.
No.
I think he's being honest that there is accountability, and if somebody makes a mistake, the players in that segment group get on to him about it. And I'm telling you, you best believe that in 2013, when Darby or P.J. Williams would make a mistake, or if Wasom made a mistake in practice, that all those other NFL players would get on to him, because there was an accountability there, and that's when the pride comes in. And I think that's a big deal, and it can't really be dismissed or overlooked.
Let's keep it on the defense. Let's keep it with Cyrus Fagan. I think the other thing I thought that was quite interesting, what he said was, it was so much like it was his body language, his reaction, I guess, just talking about the scheme. He's like, we got packages. He's
we got groupings, we got packages. It's like we got an idea what we're doing. Yeah. You won't believe it.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, like this base thing, we're going to do other things than just run base, and our base isn't even what we're sold out to do. I mean, I think Cyrus Fagan had some pretty interesting things to say, a bit eye-opening. Asked him about the intensity from the Sun Bowl, if there's anything from there they're trying to build on. He just mentioned that he even said it there. It kind of goes back, I guess, to the confidence that they had in the staff, or maybe didn't have, but maybe falls back on accountability as well. He's like, what we tried to do in the past wasn't working. So we can't, and that's, you say that all the time, right? Like, this team has been, what were they? They're like 11 and, I don't know, like 11 and 16 or whatever in their last two seasons.
18 and 20 in their last 18 and 20 in their last 38 games.
Like, who wants that? I mean, you better not be comfortable with things being changed and shooken up. So the fact that he's able to realize that, process that as a leader, as a senior on the team, is another kind of encouraging sign. But yeah, I mean, just the fact that he kind of just marveled at the fact that they're going to have a plan that involves certain
all well and
solutions for certain situations. Pretty cool.
That's all well and good. What was your favorite part of the? Let's say it was a total of 35 minutes of interviews. What was your favorite single part from Monday morning of the interviews?
I feel like there's like an obvious answer, and I don't know what it is, so I feel like really, really stupid.
It's got to be the orange jerseys.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the exchange or that answer itself?
The exchange.
Right.
Is just awesome. So Perry, who works for another website, asks about the orange jerseys. He's like, what? And I don't remember exactly how he phrased it, but he asked about what's the significance of the orange jerseys. We saw some photos and the video from scrimmage, and there were some guys wearing orange jerseys.
I didn't even see anybody in an orange jersey.
Yeah, well, then Norvell says, look, well, obviously, if you're wearing, we don't like orange in this program.
It's a Jimbo thing. Didn't Jimbo do that?
He did for like the off-season conditioning, And he's like, obviously, we don't like orange. We don't like anything about orange in this program because of
Florida,
Miami, Clemson, traffic cones. So
Savannah State.
Savannah State. Oh man, no love lost between Florida State and Savannah State. Let me tell you that.
Bowling Green.
You can just keep going. All the orange. Syracuse, of course, huge rivalry there. So he says, "Look, we don't like anything orange in this program." So he wouldn't go into detail about what you had to do to get an orange jersey, but basically the thought there, the sentiment was, well, if you're wearing an orange jersey, you've done something to irk us. You've done something to tick us off. So we don't like anything in an orange jersey. We wouldn't put anybody in an orange jersey if they were doing something positive. So then Perry says, "My bad." What he's like, I wasn't asking about Warren Thompson. I wasn't asking what his eligibility was. I was actually asking about orange jerseys. Yeah. And then Norvell looks at Derek, the FSU SID, and is like, yeah, I didn't say anything about Warren Thompson or eligibility. I was talking about orange jerseys. And it was really fun. That just seemed like something that would happen to me. Like Perry obviously misunderstood what Norvell said, or his audio cut out, and somehow he thought that Norvell was talking about Warren Thompson when he was actually talking about orange jerseys, which was his actual question.
Yeah, he got the answer.
And then, he answered the question, and then Perry thought he was talking about Warren Thompson. So it was really funny. I would encourage you all to go on our YouTube feed. If you're not on Warchant, obviously, you should have watched it already on Warchant. But if you go onto YouTube and watch the video, that's a really funny exchange. I thought it was. Even as bad as I was feeling, like wanting to just rip something out of my stomach to be done with the pain, that still made me chuckle a good bit.
I had to turn off my camera because I cringed. It made me cringe, and I didn't want the kid to see me and think I was like trying to show him up or whatever. Because
we all done it. We've all made crazy mistakes and heard something that wasn't there. And but yeah, that was really funny.
Also, speaking of YouTube, hit the thumbs up like button if you're listening to this on YouTube. We would certainly appreciate it. Otherwise, let's go to Mike Norvell then, I guess, leading things off for us on Monday. And we're going to do a live show later today, Tuesday, by the way, Corey. I don't want to overwhelm you, but the people are going to want that, so let's figure that one out as well. But anywho, back to Mike Norvell. I thought it was interesting that he's kind of, I don't know if he recalibrated, but he mentioned that he thinks offense is in a good place, maybe it wasn't as bad as he thought. And I love the reaction on Warchant, because the story from the day that Ira worked on was kind of a notebook style thing, but the lead part of it was, hey, on second look, on second glance, not as bad as maybe anticipated or maybe thought of in the moment from Saturday scrimmage. And then a couple of people were like, oh boy, what are you trying to say? Are we inches away? And then people start talking about the crumbs. So yeah. I did find that a bit humorous. That was nice. Some gallows humor. Way to go, Florida State fans on Warchant, having a sense of humor. I just hope that, we're not setting ourselves up here for the same thing that kind of happened. And I'm not relitigating Willie, but that was one of the things where the brakes were never tapped going into 18. It was just kind of, hey, 17 was a weird anomaly, and we're back to full speed ahead.
Well, and so much of it, too, was they finished with a winning record in 17 without their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So you're like, man, the talent is definitely there. They're gonna, and you got Cam Akers, and all you got to do is just simplify things for this roster of great talent, and this is 10 wins easy. You got a guy that plays fast, wants to play fast, coaches fast. The talent is enough that even if you didn't trust Willie Taggart completely as a game planning coach, as a game day coach, you thought the talent was enough that it wouldn't matter, and obviously we were all wrong.
So not that you were overreacted to anything at all, I think you actually showed some moderation in your thoughts about what happened on Saturday. Do you change at all your feelings about where the offense is after the head coach tells you, yeah, man, we're in a good place. I like where we're at. Quarterbacks made good decisions for the most part. They won a few back. But otherwise, no sort of panic, no sort of worry.
No. Again, I just think the offense could maybe be a tick better than it was last year. That's my hope. That's, I think, what Florida State fans should hope for. Just a little bit better, 5% better. I know they talk about 1% better. Well, you can aim higher than that, but be 5% better, even 10% better. But it's just not going to be much more than that. You lost one of the best running backs in the country. Your quarterback play is not going to be elite, and your offensive line is your offensive line. You do have one of the best wide receivers in the nation. maybe the best. I don't know. Certainly in the conversation, that helps. And you got some other guys that can really play at that position, but I just don't expect a whole lot different from the offensive line. So no, I think the offense is going to be that. I think it's going to struggle against elite units. I think it's going to always struggle against good defensive lines. But I do trust those guys to be able to put them in position to not just be completely overwhelmed, to have some sort of plan in place to be able to put 17 points, 20 points on the board, not be down 42-0, not get trounced by an average Miami team at home. I think I just trust this offensive coaching staff more than that. But no, I think that's, of course, when you look back at it at a scrimmage, it reminds me kind of a little bit. Remember Jimbo would be like, we're one block away,
right?
He's almost out the gate. Yeah. If he just makes that play right, if he just makes that block, he's out the gate.
You go back and look at that. 66 he makes the block right there, right out the gate.
Yeah, yeah. Or he missed the cut. Yeah. If he makes that cut, he's out the gate. You can do that with every offensive play. If everybody did what they were supposed to do, probably you're going to play well, but you're going to make a play, but that doesn't happen ever. So I think that part of that was maybe him maybe getting a feel for the Florida State fan base. And I'm not saying Mike Norvell's on Warchant. I don't know that he's on tribal council. He should be, but I don't know that he is. But let's just assume he is. And he saw the reaction. He's like, oh, boy, these people are about to jump off a cliff. I need to calm them down a little bit. Let me lie to him a little. Let me tell him when I watched it on film, it looked actually a lot better. But I just honestly, I don't think it matters. I think they got dominated in a scrimmage. Fine. You got 3 weeks to get better. Georgia Tech's defense is not nearly as talented as Florida State's defense. If you come out against Georgia Tech and get manhandled and have a 20-yard gain and then have a 7-yard loss, and it's the same stuff we've always dealt with for the last 3 years, it's going to be people are going to be. I was going to say apoplectic.
There you go. That was it.
There you go. I got it. But don't do that then. You're not playing Florida State's defense on September 12th. You're playing a worse defense. Go put up 30 points in that game, win the game, and then move from there. But the offense is going to be the offense, man. And we'll see what happens with the non-conference game. But there's a chance, maybe, who knows? Well, we're assuming they're going to play that game. But if they don't, well, the numbers are going to be down because you're not going to get you're not going to get Louisiana Monroe, which you put 44 points on. And there was another game where you put up a ton of points. You're not going to get to do that to really elevate the stats.
Alabama State.
Yeah, I think the offense could be better. No, nothing happened. I'm just I'm looking at the country and I'm looking at all these schools pausing practices and all these outbreaks at high schools and colleges, and I'm not assuming everything's going to come off without a hitch. But even if it did, then you get that one game. And you lose Florida. But I just don't – maybe the stats will take a step back. Maybe instead of averaging 30.1 points per game, you average 28. But it's against tougher competition. I think the offense will be what it is. I'm not looking for anything special. And I think you can look at film and say, yeah, absolutely. Those 8 guys did exactly what they were supposed to do. He ran the right route. Quarterback made the right read. It's not his fault that the left tackle just got blown up. But, you could say that about the Miami game, right?
Well, that's the thing.
Maybe Hornibrook made the right read, but Rousseau was, biting his neck when he could have been making a throw. That's how football works. Not every play is all 11 people going to do their job correctly.
There you go. Well, that's the right counter because I was going to say, well, what about the Virginia game? Terry runs wide open down the far sideline. The play was called fine. It was executed fine in terms of him running his route, but Blackman doesn't see him. The Arizona State game, I think Terry does get open, but maybe was it a Florida game where he stopped on one of the deep balls from Blackman?
Yeah,
I think Arizona got underthrown or maybe overthrown on a deep ball. So, let's give a little bit of credit from the previous half. They did dial some stuff up, and it was there, and they just couldn't execute it.
That's the weird thing to me is that everybody talks about or seems to think that the offense was a train wreck last year. I think it literally is because of what you remember of the final 2 games where – they didn't do anything against Florida. What, they have 1 touchdown against Florida maybe?
First drive, though, wasn't it? Didn't we respond? Florida went up 7-0, and then we punched them right back in the mouth?
Like I said, I've completely eliminated that from my memory.
People probably get so upset that we don't remember The
Man,
most basic things that
I'm
happened
telling you,
last year.
I remember. I
don't know.
remember every play from every Florida game of the 1990s, and I can't tell you the score from last year's game. And I was there. I think it might have been 42-16 or something, but
40-17. Yeah, and look at that. Florida first drive, 11-play, 75-yard touchdown. Florida State responds with a 10-play, 75-yard drive.
That's right. How did that? How you like that, Gators?
Yeah.
How you like that? We're not going into the night. You're not going to. This ain't going to be a roll. You're going to have to play hard for 4 quarters.
Well,
not
4-0
really.
Dell. We're 3-0 Dell. We're going 4-0 Dell, baby. Let's go.
That defense was that defense. Yeah. So you scored 17 points against Florida, and then what? 12 in the Sun Bowl.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Yeah. Coupled with how completely inept you were against Clemson and Miami, and that's where people are still worried. And I get it, because against those 4 defenses, you were awful. And this is like saying, other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? But if you take away those 4 games, the other 9 games, the offense played pretty darn well. It was certainly much better than it was the year before. And so I just think this offense will be decent. Nothing great, but decent. The defense can be decent instead of awful, instead of one of the worst in the Power 5. Well, now all of a sudden you got something. And when you talk to these players, these defenders, DeKalen Brooks, I thought was good on Monday morning, and I thought Cyrus Fagan was good as well. Leonard Warner, obviously, I didn't have the honor of transcribing those quotes because I was laying in bed. But it sounds like these guys believe in that they're making plays, and they just believe in the scheme and they believe in the coaches, and they haven't had that for a long time now. So I'm fired up, man. What do we got now? Where are we now, Aslan? 18 days?
I think so. Yeah.
What is
Auden Tate? We're Auden Tate away.
On Tate, Sean Hamlet. We're those 2 guys away from playing football, man. And I think I had a talk actually on Monday evening after I felt better with my sister and my mom and my brother-in-law and Stephanie. And I think I'm not going to go with the crazy expensive toupee. We're gonna go with more of like a $30 kind of something you could buy from a costume store.
That's what I said. You're like, oh, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, but it's going to be, right now we're thinking of a man bun, because they have those.
Yeah, okay.
Like a wig with a man bun.
Yes.
And my brother-in-law, who's British, who calls them gingers, actually he calls them gingers. It's weird with the G. It's
hard G?
It's a hard G, yeah. That he thinks I should be a redhead. He thinks it should be a redhead man bun. But I think just a man bun in general would work just fine.
Okay.
So, hey, we're 18 days away from that happening.
Do you know that Cam Akers had a 50-yard touchdown run against the Gators?
Everybody remembers that.
I don't remember.
It's like Ward to Dunn. It's like Ward to Dunn. Everybody remembers the Cam Akers 50-yard touchdown.
Where was I? Was there.
When was that? Was that the second half? Or
Yeah, second half.
What was the score when he did that?
It was 37-10.
See, man, what are we doing? I mean, great. And Cam's awesome. I'm glad he got that moment. Yeah. It reminds me of DJ Stewart in baseball when they played the Gators in the Super Regional and got hammered like the last 2 games of that series. Maybe it was the year they didn't even win a game. They just got hammered down there. And DJ Stewart hit like this monster home run in the 8th inning against Florida. Just a moonshot that probably went 450 feet that cut the deficit to 11-3.
Right. Yeah.
It's awesome for him that he got that moment in his final swing, just like it was awesome for Cam that he got that moment in his final game in college, but it didn't matter. It is hard to remember.
Also on the offense, the Jordan Travis fan club, if you guys are wondering where your idol's at, he's around. I guess apparently he was not playing in the scrimmage. I don't know if it also included scrimmage number 1, but he did mention, Mike Norvell did mention on Monday that Jordan Travis, is dealing with something minor, which is pretty vague. Well, I don't know if it's a health-related thing or maybe something off the field that he's having to deal with personally. Mike, love you, man. Let's get a little more transparent, or I don't know, I want to say transparent, but let's not be so awkward when we're talking about people's status. He's your backup quarterback. Relax. Jeff Collins doesn't have moles in the town trying to find out what's going on with Jordan Travis, but it does say it's like a day-to-day thing, so who knows? Maybe Travis can get another crack if they do have a scrimmage here before the game rolls around here in a few weeks. But if you were wondering where Jordan Travis is at, he's still on the team, and the reason he was in the highlights is because he didn't play Saturday because of
he didn't scrimmage,
things.
which again, I mean, I don't know how else. The writing isn't just on the wall; it is the wall. Blackman's going to be your starter against Georgia Tech. There's just no chance it's anybody else,
well, barring injury to James, obviously.
Sure, it's between him and Rodemaker, and the way they talk about Rodemaker doesn't sound like he's anywhere close to being ready. And Travis hasn't practiced, and Chubba's got a sling on. So yeah, it's going to be Blackman. So just deal with it. Hope he plays well. That is a bummer, though, because I think if it's just day-to-day, though, then I do think you can have a Travis package that doesn't mean that he's a starter or he's even competing for a starting spot. But he is a guy that can run. They can certainly help in the run game because he can freeze that defensive end on the read and or just go around him. And I think that's something they'll explore if they get the chance to. But, yeah, man, it's a lot of throws right now for Rodemaker and Blackman. And so the good news is you're getting a lot of reps with your starter because Chubba and Jordan aren't taking them from him.
Right.
But the bad news is, the competition isn't what you'd want. Like, who's he being pushed by? Does he really feel threatened by Tate Rodemaker? You'd love for all four guys to be healthy, number one.
Absolutely.
And to be competing, and then you have to raise your game or you're not going to play. You're not going to start, and that's just not happening in the quarterback room right now.
I don't know if I believe this, but I'll say it. Just with all he's been through, James, maybe it'll be good for him to not have that added sort of pressure of the competition. I feel like he puts enough pressure on himself, obviously. And ever since he's been on this campus, he's had to fight and claw, and he's been in a competition for the job. So maybe with that not being in the back of his head, maybe it'll free him up a little bit, perhaps. I mean, maybe. Something to perhaps ponder. Again, I don't know if I 100% believe in that, but we'll try to make the best out of the situation. And again, I just think Dillingham and Norvell know how to groom quarterbacks and probably will be able to create whatever they need to, whatever environment to get the best out of him.
Just throw it a lot to Tamari and Terry. Just do that. That's another thing I wanted to say. Like, I don't know. Maybe you could look up real quick because you got it all at your fingertips. You got the Cam Akers 50-yard run. But I just keep coming back to the Miami game. And I don't remember Terry making much of an impact. Who did? Nobody made an impact in that game on offense. But they could not get him the ball because they continually played a quarterback that could not throw it deep. And I just think even if Hornibrook was their quarterback, they would find a way, whether it's put him in motion, put him in the backfield and have him come in motion out of the backfield, quit lining him up in the same spot in the offense every single play, and get that guy some mismatches so you can exploit that talent and score some points. You've got that was Tamari and Terry was a better wide receiver than anybody else that defense faced all season, and he made not an impact at all. Because there was a quarterback that couldn't throw it 50 yards downfield. Well, now you have an offensive staff, in my opinion, that will find ways to get him involved where he's not running straight downfield on the right side of the field 60 times a game, but actually figuring out a way to exploit mismatches to get him the ball. And so that's why I think that no matter if Blackman is having a great year or an okay year or not a great year, if the offensive line has gotten much better at all, they will figure out ways to get that dude the ball in space and get him matched up with guys he can blow by.
That's going to be my question for Tuesday to Mike Norvell is going to be, I don't want you to reveal trade secrets, but with the way you run your – can you run your offense through Tamari and Terry? Like almost through the way like certain basketball teams run their offense through a player. Like, can he be the linchpin to everything? Because he's that good. He's just that much better than everybody else they have as well. But you could probably say that on, 90% of the teams he would be on. He's just that much of a freak. 4 catches, 40 yards.
I ain't doing it, man. 10 yards a catch for that guy? Yeah. Come on, man. That guy's a touchdown machine. I saw there was something on Twitter. I can't even remember the stat. I know one of the guys, there were 3 guys in the last year. I think it might have been the last 2 years that had like 9 or 10 catches of 40 yards or more.
Yeah.
And it was Jerry Jeudy. Yeah. I think it was another Alabama wide receiver.
Devontae Smith. The guy who got the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah. Hey, you don't want to bring that up.
Sorry.
And then Tamari and Terry.
Yeah.
It's like one of these three isn't like the other. Those other two had Tua throwing them the ball and an NFL offensive line blocking it up and other great receivers around him. This one guy has been lined up opposite Keith Gavin and has had those dudes blocking for him and those quarterbacks throwing to him, and he still put up Jerry Jeudy type numbers. This guy is a freak. He is an unbelievable weapon. We haven't heard a lot about him in camp, but maybe it's just because it's just like we haven't heard a lot about Marvin. Yeah. It's just assumed what they are. We know what they are. But I just want to see what they do to get this guy the ball against elite defenses, because he didn't do anything against Clemson either until the game was out of reach, until it was 42-0. Don't remember what he did against Florida. I think he had one long catch. But again, same thing. You've got to find a way for him to make an impact, even if you can't block it up great against the defensive line. And so, yeah, that's a good question. You should ask it. And I promise you, dear listener and dear reader, I will transcribe it accurately, his answer.
3 wide receivers had 10 or more catches that went for 40 or more yards over the past 2 seasons. Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Tamorian, Terry. Scary Terry. So.
All's I'm saying.
And then before we go, shout out, congratulations to, I almost called him Odell. I don't know if that's his nickname apparently, but Deontay Sheffield has been given a scholarship to play collegiate football for Florida State University. So shout out to him. He posted it on Monday night. Also,
that's cool. Was there an Instagram post, or do we have video of him, the announcement or anything?
No, he posted a nice little sort of image of himself with a little text next to it, giving a lot of the onus and the thanks to the man in the sky, God. God's so good, and it quotes his favorite verse, Mark 11:24. Big moment for him. Keep climbing.
Not Ezekiel 25:17.
No, pass on that. No John 3:16 either.
All right. Okay.
Hashtag never quit, never give up. Hashtag big faith. Hashtag woot.
Congratulations, though. That's awesome. Sure. I love those. I wish they would have filmed it somehow.
Right.
But I love those. It's not the reaction of the kid not crying or getting excited because he got the scholarship. It's his teammates.
Yeah.
To me, that just warms your cockles, man. Yeah. To see the teammates getting all excited about their fellow guy that they know how much it means to him to get a scholarship.
That's what I loved about Luka, your guy, hitting that shot on Sunday. It was just him kind of slow walking back to the sideline, but he just got mobbed, just piranhas to meat in the Amazon. Just whoom, it was fantastic. Also, though, not to be remiss here, Wyatt Rector apparently also given a scholarship.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
What
number is he? Is he 18 or 19?
19.
Oh, so we already missed his day.
Yeah.
We already passed Wyatt Rector on the way to the football season.
Right. So apparently his significant other tweeted it out. I'm so proud. My WYWY got put on scholarship today. Goes to show the hard work pays off. At Wyatt Rector.
Okay.
They do need a tight end, right? Because they lost Jordan Wilson.
What do you think about his nickname being Exam?
Proctor. Proctor.
No, I was thinking about a rector exam instead of rectal. It's a rectal exam. Yeah, the exam, the nickname. I think that works. Like it's an exam, and you just failed because he's in the end zone again. So we call him rector exam. And I don't know if we can have one for Sheffield of Dreams. I mean, that's up there too. I like puns with names. Just forgive me. You listen to this show long enough, you understand. I like puns that include their names.
Just call him Chef, like Swedish Chef.
Yeah, you do the Muppet Chef. Yeah, it's good.
He goes by Odell because I guess he had that blonde streak running through his hair. But yeah, those two guys on scholarship. I think he had a nice run in the scrimmage too that made onto the highlight reel they posted. So,
was it like 11 yards? The offensive highlight of the day.
Hey, man, the way we've been talking about this defense, it's like, it's the 85 Bears out there they're going up against. So 11 yards is a big deal, man.
You're right, man. So, move those chains.
Yeah.
For all we know, it was 3rd and 28, though, when he made the run. But still, it's a big time. You made some guys miss. That's good to see.
And you asked me this yesterday on the show. So NC State, I think, is the latest I saw that is going to pause their all fall athletic activities right now I think for at least maybe, I don't know if they said for 2 weeks, but they're pausing it because of a cluster. But they're not telling the guys to go home. I mean, like over under 2.5. How many more teams do you think are going to pause this week? Power 5.
I'm going to say. Oh, Power 5. I thought you meant just the ACC. I would say Power 5 probably. I don't know I just don't know how many schools have started. I think some maybe they don't start till like early September. So I would say Power 5. I would say 2.5 is a good number. I'm going to say under. Okay, but I think I'm looking at 2.
Look at the optimism.
And not great that NC State's paused. But again, you had a cluster because you have students on campus.
You saw the thing I sent you about Biloxi High School in Mississippi. Like had 300 kids quarantined because of 15 positive tests. The head football coach there says he was shocked that they have to shut the team down for 2 weeks.
But it wasn't 15 players on the team. It was 15 students, right?
Yeah, but like there's 300.
If you're how big is Biloxi High School? I can't imagine it's huge.
No, it's a big school. I think though in his defense,
but you're quarantining 320 kids. Yeah. 8 days into school?
Right, but none of them were his players though. I think is what he was hoping. He's like, well, none of my players. Why can't we go ahead and keep doing this? But also my second question maybe will be to Norvell. I wonder if since they're now in fall camp, so everybody. The past, whatever it's been, since August 1st, I think, or not August 1st, August 7th, it's been preseason, so they have pretty much unlimited time to prepare and practice and do whatever they want to do. Now that they're in season, technically, it's fall camp, they're limited to 20 hours in a week. I wonder if now, if they started to test twice a week, or if they're still only testing once a week at this point. I don't know if he'll tell us the answer, but I do wonder if they'll now transition to in-season testing, because I think it's technically in-season. It's fall. I mean, school started.
Well, I would think in-season means after September 12th. They're going to be once a week before then, but I don't know. We'll see. It should be 3 times a week. Just get this season played, man. Just get this season played. Come on, by all means. Other than we don't want to risk anybody's health, but other than that, I don't care if they send all the kids back home. All the other regular students, but get this season played. Don't you just want to see what it looks like? No. Like even if they just played the Georgia Tech game, let's just see what it looks like. Like
15,000 people is going to be so depressing. But I'm probably going to be watching it on TV. Apparently,
well, what's funny
rumor is they're only going to allow 2 people per outlet. So,
ooh, sorry, Aslan.
Yeah, I won't. But
sorry, Gene.
I volunteered. I said, hey, if it comes down to it, I'll watch it at home. But I don't even know so what are we going to do for like a post-game wrap-up? Are you and Ira going to just film it on the phone a la Wake Forest? We had an intern Austin, who's now left us. So are you guys going to put a phone on a ledge and record yourselves and then send it to me? And I'm not going to have any pre-game footage to put over the Warchant rap, which is a hugely popular thing.
We'll have to know what the guidelines are for after games. Like, are we going to be in the same room with people interviewing them, or outside interviewing them, or is it all going to be done via Zoom? Yeah. Because if it's done via Zoom, then I'll be honest with you, I might rather watch it on TV than up in a press box where I can't see anything.
You're our lead writer. You got to be there, buddy. You got to be in the firefight.
Well, if I don't get to talk to anybody in person, then really, what difference does it make? It's probably it's better to be watching on TV. You get to see the replays.
I wish I
could actually see
Ira's face when he listens
numbers.
To this. I want to see
Ira's going to be there. What does he care? Ira and Gene can be there. You and I can be watching it on TV. We'll figure it out. But I am interested in how we're gonna do the post game with the players and the coaches. Hopefully, we'll be able to get them actually talk to them. Even if I'll wear a mask and ask.
Yeah,
I'll ask James Blackman about his 4 touchdown passes.
Absolutely.
I don't care. I'll wear a mask and ask that.
Yeah.
So
team player.
We got 18 days, man. We're 18 days away. Let's just keep it going. Let's just see what it looks like for one game. If you win 30-16, if you just win, but if you win and look well coached, just what that will do for the fan base would be it would just be such an uplifting sight for sore eyes.
Well said. Corey Clark's back in the saddle, live transcribing Mike Norvell and company's interviews around 10:50 a.m. this morning, Corey. 10:50 a.m. So
well, we'll see.
Head over to warchant.com. We'll have all that covered, quite literally. Corey, man, again, I think Luca wants you to send him an autographed microphone. So see what you can do. And
This was a great effort, wasn't it, on my part?
Amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I do what I can. It's the Jordan flu game. It's the Luka ankle game.
Kurt Schilling, bloody
Smith,
sock.
Kurt Schilling, bloody sock. Emmett Smith with a separated shoulder. I mean, this is one of the all-time great. The Willis Reed coming out with a broken leg. I think there was the Japanese gymnast, the guy that got a perfect 10 on a broken leg.
What about Kerry Strug? How about America's sweetheart?
How
Kerry
about that?
Strug
That's
sticking
exactly
the landing
right.
in Atlanta, 96.
Yeah. By the way, that's one of the funnier SNL bits was, what's his name, Chris Kattan? Being Kerry Strug's brother, Kip or Chip or something. Man, that was awesome. And having the same exact squeaky voice. Oh, good times. By the way, USA Gymnastics apparently wasn't the greatest institution back then.
Well, yeah. Hey, before we go, what's like the greatest Florida State injured performance? Like someone injured just going, like our guy, who was the guy? Blair Varnes? Although like they didn't win.
Yeah, they lost the game. That was if they would have won the game, that would go down in history. I would say the first thing that came to my mind was Winky in 2000 against Florida. He apparently had the flu all week or wasn't feeling good all week, and then he came out of the I think he'd actually stayed in the hospital Friday night, and then came out Saturday, threw for like 380 yards and beat them to send them Florida State to the Orange Bowl where Snoop Minnis would not be available. So it didn't end up working out. But that's the first one that comes to mind. I'm sure there's some other ones out there, but that's the one I'm going with. Chris Winky flu game against Florida.
All right. Well, that means you're undisputed at the top of the totem pole, the Mount Rushmore. It's your big
It's
shining
me and Winky.
Beaming smile. All right, we'll be back tomorrow live. Don't know exactly what time, but check out warchant.com. Follow Warchant on Twitter. We'll definitely post it out there and let you folks know. For Corey Maslon, thanks so much for listening to Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.